Welcome, friends. I'm so glad to be with you. So welcome to the Get Ready webinar. We have everything planned to tell you about our new Lent series, but I want to start with some announcements. So let's get right to it. I'm going to share my screen because I've got some fun things to tell you about. All right, so Get Ready webinar. We're going to talk about looking for love. Those of you who were on in our intro, you heard that Looking for Love song. No, we're not going to use that as the theme song, Johnny Lee's song, but we will let you know what the theme song is. It's a beautiful song by Mark Miller. So let me just say a couple of things first, and that is that we have posted compliments of our dear friend Barbara Hamm, a prolific hymn writer, a beautiful hymn writer. She has a song, I Have a Dream, and we put that in the Worship Design Studio, hoping that many of you will use it for the upcoming Sunday when we celebrate the life and ministry and message, the ongoing dream of making this place better for all people. So I want to just highlight that and let you know that that's there. When you go into our website, you can always click on Discovery there in the left-hand menu. Look at Featured, because that's where we put timely things we really want you to see. So just make that a habit, and that's where you can get that song by Barbara Hamm. It's where we have lots of announcements that are timely. So just make that a habit whenever you go in there. We do have, the website has been updated by the platform folks who run the back end of it. And so it looks a little different for some of you. I think it looks easier. I think it's easier to navigate. So we're very excited about that. And I'll talk about how to find all these materials, navigate the website, especially if you're new with us along the way. All right. So we just drew, and Emily Zieg Lindsay has won our free drawing. We had a post. This is the good thing about going to Discovery. We had a post that said, tell us how your Advent went, and said that we would, on this webinar, randomly choose one. And she was randomly chosen for a very intense process by Jenna and I, randomly chosen for a free Worship Design Studio subscription. So Emily, congratulations. We're very excited. She is at a Presbyterian church that used the Angels Among Us series, and just look at that. Look at those little angels among them. We love our small, medium-sized churches that we serve. We hope that we can be part of your team, that you feel like you are not alone. You never have to start from scratch. And Emily, thank you. Here is Emily and one of her daughters. So congratulations, free Worship Design Studio subscription for the next year. Okay, so another announcement is that today, boom, just now drops the registration for my Elevation Tahoe retreat. If you haven't been at the retreat, this is your year. It's so full, but it's full of two different things. And one is lots of content for your continuing education. We give CEUs, but equal amount of time actually, resting, sleeping, hiking, sitting by the lake, reading, whatever it is that you want to do for your spiritual renewal. That is what you have time for. And so we are very excited. That's May 8th through 12th. And here's what we're going to do. I made a little video out of, last year, we do these rituals along the way at Elevation. And the opening night, we write on these boulders what it is that we hope to find on the mountaintop. The boulders don't mind. And what's really cool is then we plant them outside and people find them throughout the year, because these words are things, that like hope and renewal and that kind of thing. And then the final night, we have a little walking meditation among these little water and mountain things. So we're going to use this as our centering for today as we get started. It's just a minute little meditation with the music of my wonderful music collaborator, Chuck Bell, in the background. So let's just take a moment, deep breath. I know it's easy to multitask when you're on these webinars, but just for a minute, I just ask you to stop multitasking and just take a deep breath, because we can all use that. All right, here we go. Holy living God, we are looking for things. We are looking for joy, for hope, for direction. We're looking for clarity. We ask that you fill our lives and our hearts with the things that we yearn for, and we ask for discernment around what we will be doing, guiding our congregations in for Lent this year. We are looking for love. We're looking for more love in this world, oh God. May it be so. Amen. All right, friends. So we'd love to have you at the lake. Just go to Worship Design Studio / Elevation 2023. Okay, friends, Lent, as you know, as some of you know who've been with me for a while, at my planning retreats, I talk about the various theological themes that we see happening in each one of the liturgical seasons. And this is my list for Lent. And one of the wonderful things about guiding a congregation in spiritual journeys over time is that we don't have to do it all in one sitting, right? So we're going to look at the trajectory of things, of the theological themes that we have paid attention to over time, and say, what have we not yet had enough of in this congregation? Or perhaps this year, what do we need? And so here's the list. Preparation for baptism. That was the original theological undergirding for the Lent season. Journey to new life. And so remembering our baptism, getting ready to reaffirm our baptism, perhaps over the Triduum, the Holy Week Triduum, maybe in an Easter Eve or an Easter Vigil service. That's one thing we've done before in the Worship Design Studio. Being claimed, named, adopted, washed, being part of the community of the body of Christ. That's also another theme that comes out of our baptism and is attached to Lent. And certainly the most popular, I would say, these days, themes for Lent is that journey theme, that follower, what path are we on, the wilderness wandering. And in the historical development of Lent, around the 11th century, penitence and conversion and turning around, new start, change, all of those things became a predominant theme in Lent. And so things like giving things up or sacrifice or, trying to empty ourselves became a deep theological theme for Lent. And then slowing down, contemplation, cocooning, meditation, meditating on our priorities, all of these things. These are all great human themes, right? Just to sort of put a point on it is that we all need to, as humans, be thinking about these things for our lives. But certainly the Lent season draws us into some of these themes. So here are some themes that we had in the past that fulfilled many of these trajectories. Listen, very contemplative, busy, asking ourselves, what does it cost us to be so busy, and understanding that busyness can be an addiction, and sort of, making some room. Roll Down Justice is a focus on baptism. Straight ahead, look at our baptismal vows and what they're calling us to. Gifts of the Dark Wood, that journeying thing, wandering in the wilderness. That was our very first fully scripted series, Gifts of the Dark Wood, in collaboration with my friend Eric Elness and his book by the same title. Holy Vessels was one on healing, brokenness and healing, that I developed during the pandemic because we really were needing to focus on that kind of thing. Entering the Passion of Jesus, picturing ourselves in the story. This is based on an Amy Jill Levine sort of look at Holy Week. And so oftentimes our folks don't go to Holy Week services, so they jump right from Palm Sunday to Easter. And what this series does is takes the whole of Lent to look at characters in the story of Holy Week and putting ourselves in those scenarios. It's one of my favorite ones. And so these are the ones that I already had as I began to think about what will we do for Lent 2023 to add to the Worship Design Studio library. Well, as you know, and the reason that you're on this morning is that what I came to was a series that I had done as a DIY series years ago, but I decided to do it fully scripted, make it available to you, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. And I did this because it really does sort of get at that conversion, change, turning around, getting right, integrity, discerning next steps, new start. It really is looking at where are we putting our time and our attention and our love, which is our love, right? Because whatever we give our attention to is where our energy, our love energy is going. And sometimes it's not in the right places. And so this is a Lent time of discerning. What are we spending our time on? What do we give our attention to? And is it the things that will give us life and that will put more love in the world, both for ourselves and for each other? And so that's what I decided on for this year. It also is one that is the Revised Common Lectionary Year A readings. And so we're just trying to build out that Worship Design Studio library so that we have all three of those cycles represented in fully scripted series. So this is what we did for this year. Now, looking for love in all the wrong places. If you've never heard that phrase, it means that you were not a fan of Urban Cowboy movie in 1980. Now, 1980, I graduated from high school and I started college. And I went to college in Texas. So actually, what I'm laughing about is that Gillies, an actual place in Texas where I went to school, and I was from the farm. This is proof that I actually am a cowgirl. I grew up on a farm, on horses, cattle, the whole 9 yards. And so, of course, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places was such a popular song related to that movie, Urban Cowboy. So that's the play on words here that I use, because that is such a formative part of my upbringing. And you will have people in your congregation who will laugh at that, who will get that right away, and some that you have to explain it to, especially younger folks. So Lent is traditionally a time to revisit our priorities. I hope this worship series will give your community a lens through which to do just that. The lectionary scriptures for RCL Year A mentioned love and heart over and over and over again. So that's the first thing I do in my design process, is I study those scriptures, especially if I'm following the lectionary, and I see what themes are popping up over and over again. And the word love and heart kept popping up. So I went searching for what our faith narrative was saying about true love. Each week offers us a model of love based on the stories of Jesus' life and ministry, death and resurrection. And each week we consider the opposites that show up, often valued in our culture, in those things that are distracting us, pulling our attention away. Fame, money, control, possessions, power, certainty, unhealthy relationships, addictions, you name it. It's going to be different for each one of us. When we look to these things for the love we crave, we are sorely disappointed. There's some happiness studies out recently, some folks in Harvard who has been studying people for 30 years now, over 30 years, since the 1960s. And the number one thing that they found that actually creates happiness is not all of this stuff that society says to us, but relationships and deep connections. That's love, right? And Jesus shows that to us over and over and over again. When we look to the other things for love, we're sorely disappointed. And yet, as another song goes, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And that is the truth. Amen. Just put that in the chat. Amen. If you believe that we have lost touch with what it means to be in relationship, not just with those we know, but relationship in terms of getting things done for the good of all. Hello. I know I'm preaching here, but I really believe that this series, talking about what true love is, will take us not just to looking at our intimate relationships, not just looking at our church relationships, but what is our relationship to the good of the whole community, the whole globe, the whole earth. So it has so many possibilities for proclamation in that direction. So I'm going to play the trailer that I made because not only will it give you the essence of the theme, but it will give you the anchor image, which are Scrabble tiles. And it will also let you hear the theme song by Mark Miller that I have landed on, and that is Show Us How to Love. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous song. It's an anthem, and he has distilled it into something we can use in the threshold moment as a congregational song, but you'll also want to sing this as an anthem. So let's listen to this.
Hearts open, minds awake, change us now for heaven's sake. Leave us not alone in hatred's wake. Show us how to love, show us how to love. Show us how to love.
Amen. The song just brings me to tears every time. Mark Miller, you did it again. Words by Lindy Thompson. So show us how to love. That's what the essence of this series is about, is learning how to love. What does Jesus say about love, about how to love? Now, you notice the Scrabble letters there. Yes, I used my little iPhone and put it on a little tripod, set it in slow motion setting, and then dropped Scrabble tiles for that beginning. Here in the Worship Design Studio, one of the things that we want to do is to model how you, no matter how basic your technology is, no matter how few volunteers you have, no matter, you don't have staff, but you can do something that offers people a beautiful way in through the arts into a message. And so we try to practice that ourselves. We are not a big, huge production company. We want to do things that you can do. And so I try to pull back the curtain as much as I can and tell you how I made things. But a literal photo shoot on a Scrabble board, you can do that too. The Scrabble letters. Now, how did I come to this? Well, it's about piecing things together to make meaning in our lives. And that's what we do when we look for love in all these extraneous places, trying to piece together a life that has purpose and meaning, that is fulfilling, that fills whatever holes it is that we're experiencing. And that's kind of what we do in the game of Scrabble. Sometimes you draw some letters and you go, I can't make anything out of this. And friends, that's sometimes the way we feel in life. Off and on, we are going to feel like I've got a bunch of letters and I can't figure out what to make any sense out of them. And so I felt like, it was an anchor image, a metaphor that could really help us talk about those things. And it's an easy one, right? It's an easy one to have access to. There's so many creative things you can do with it. We're going to talk about that. So that it's the Scrabble letters. This is the anchor image. And you can see in this picture, and we'll talk about it a little bit later when we get to visuals, how my friend Hanaro, who helps me try on for size some of these things, made these giant Scrabble letters to go on the altar. And so that's really going to be a fun project. Find your carpenters. It's an easy project. All right. So we have scripts, we have auxiliary documents with everything that you need, and you are going to adapt for your context. If this is your first time with Worship Design Studio, you need to know that what we expect is that you are going to adapt any and everything for your context. We believe that we can give you kind of a template and suggestions, even very specific suggestions. And what you do then is you look at your context, your congregation, your worshiping congregation, and you decide from music to images to whatever, how you're going to adapt that for your context. Because I cannot know, as I'm writing these things, exactly what will work for everybody, and actually nothing will work for everybody. So we expect that you will adapt as you need to. For those of you who are watching this who haven't yet decided to do it, you can go to worshipdesignstudio.com/love, and that's where you can find out more. You can even look at week 1 Lent script, which we're going to go over in just a moment as well. All right, friends. So what's included in the series? 9 full worship scripts. So includes Ash Wednesday, all 6 weeks of Lent, Holy Week service, which I will talk to you about, and Easter Sunday in this one, because love always wins. How could you not end with Easter? Sometimes our series ends so that you can start something different on Easter, but I just could not do love wins for Easter. Sermon fodder to inspire your preaching, small group study ideas to engage your congregation at home and throughout the week. Ready to go devotional journal. We've started to do those in our exploration of what I call yes and. Yes, worship on a Sunday morning, and you may be, live streaming, recording, what have you, but you can also offer people who will never walk in your door or watch your live stream. You can also offer them things through a simple library nook outside with some devotional journals in it. People might just pick them up, take them, so how are we engaging? How are we being spiritual leaders beyond our walls as well? So we have started to do that. So visual and media arts ideas, series logo, video trailer, photos for worship guide covers, that's all in there. Music resources, our original theme song arrangement, anthem suggestions, congregational song suggestions, which are always for both classic or traditional hymnal choices, as well as contemporary music settings. Access to the online community so that you can share resources. And we have an active online community, friends. So people are, just like I said, we want you to make stuff and people share it with each other, which is very, very cool. All right, so that's what's included. Now, in this webinar, for the rest of it, I'm going to go through each one of the sections here that's listed, and then we'll take Q&A at the end of each one about those sections. So what's in it and downloading, music resources and suggestions, anchor image, visuals, media ideas, then individual and small group materials for all ages. And we'll go over a script, and I'll tell you how to adapt it, because we have people who say, I don't know how to adapt it. Well, it's basically highlight and delete, but we'll do a little bit of that. Okay, here we go. Let's get going. So I told you what's in it. This is a picture of the website. And so I want to show you where you can find this. So there's that spinning arrow, Lent series. So the new left-hand menu since our update in December, I think is much clearer. And there's categories. Now, those arrows for each category can either be extended or collapsed. I have everything collapsed here except for the Lent series. I think it's easier to navigate if you collapse all that up and only open it up when you need it. But there it is, Lent series, and it says Lookin for Love. And so you're going to click on that, and it's going to open up the main page to the series materials, and you'll have a list of all the materials, as well as some other things in the menu that I'll talk about. But here we go. There's the Lookin for Love series. You see what you've got there, and then download the series here, the entire series. You want to click on that, and inside there is a link to our file sharing system. This is what it looks like. Ignore up there in the upper right where it says sign up for free or sign in. You do not have to do that. The files are all right there, and all you have to do is click that little down arrow, and it will begin to download the whole kit and caboodle to your computer. All right. You can also hover over each individual resource and just download the ones you want. But I think it's easier just to get the whole kit and caboodle down, and then you don't ever have to come back to this page. All right. So when you click that, it's going to ask you, do you want the current version of all files or all version of files? Just keep it where it is. Should be defaulted to current version, and hit download. It will download the whole thing you see there on the left to your computer. And you'll notice that for every service, we have both a PDF and a Word version. PDF is so that you have a version of it that stays the way it is, the way we had it. So if you need to go back and reference it, of course, the Word version is for you to adapt and create your own scripts, and also pull information then out of it to create your worship guide. All right, so you can also get to all of this on the mobile version of the website. And you can see that the three little dashes, you click on that, and what happens is you get that left-hand menu like you just saw on the web version. And there is that series Lookin for Love, and it opens up that list of the series materials just like it does on the website. And then you can click into one, let's say Ash Wednesday, and there you can click right into the PDF or the Word version. I often click onto the PDF and read it on my phone if I need to quick reference it, because I just turn my phone sideways and I can just scroll, and it's super easy to look at. So if I just need a quick reference, I do that. Okay, so that's what's included and how you download it. Jenna, are there questions from any folks about the series theme or the series, finding the materials at all?
I do not see any questions yet about navigation or the series themes. We do have some ideas coming up in the chat about some additional ways to kind of take those visuals and expand them in the worship space. So be sure to check the chat for some great ideas.
Yes, and we'll be sending out the recording to folks, and we will include the chat in it so that you can glean, because the ideas in these webinars don't just come from me, they come from our community. And that's true on the website as well. So you definitely want to keep checking that out. All right, friends. So let's continue on. Let me share my screen again. Let's get back to this. All right, so let's go to music. Thank you to Mark Miller, music collaborator. Yes, Mark and I have been friends for a long time. You can see this evidenced in the before and after pictures. The before picture is before we did a general conference for the United Methodist Church in 2008. This was at my home in Lake Tahoe, and we were planning that. And then we got a lot grayer over the years. And there we are recently doing an annual conference in New England. Both of us have become a lot grayer and whiter in the head, but it's been incredible years with Mark. Mark has, while I'm talking about him, Mark has a new collection out that you will absolutely want to get. It has so many great songs in it. You might even get it and see that you want to insert some of them into this series itself, because it's called Revolution of the Heart. Songs by Mark Miller. So that is a must have. But Mark has, as I said before, created this beautiful song. He and lyricist Lindy Thompson, who does just extraordinary work, Show Us How to Love. And it's, as I said, it's a full anthem, and you will want to do the full anthem. And we suggest that you do that on Lent 1. But the repeated theme song, Mark has created an excerpt that you see here. It also has some underscoring that those of you who are pianists who want to underscore in that script underneath that opening threshold moment where the pastor is speaking, and you're not really sure about how to underscore, Mark has provided some written material for you on that, which is great. We try to do that so that everybody feels comfortable creating those underscored moments. So, it says, hearts open, minds awake, save us now for heaven's sake. I love that. Save us now for heaven's sake. Leave us not alone in hatred's wake. Friends, how much more succinct can we get about what we're dealing with in our world? And so it really helps us to understand the importance right away of what we're talking about in this series. Show us how to love, show us how to love. And so that is in your downloads. I did see in the comments as someone asked about permissions. So the Choristers Guild, who holds the copyright along with Mark and Lindy on this, has given us permission. And that's something that I always, for our theme songs, if it's not written by me, then I get permission so that you don't have to get further permission to live stream any of the songs that we are suggesting for theme songs. Now, that's different for the hymns or contemporary songs that you pick and the anthems or band songs. Those are guided by your regular license permissions that you have, your annual licenses. And so on all of those, because you're going to adapt, as we said, you're not going to use exactly the ones through the entire thing that we suggest likely. So there's no way we can get permission for you on those things. You just use your regular permission license for that. But on these things that we have, we're featuring as theme songs, you have permission on that. All right, so there's another song that we have suggested that I have woven through scripture, through a video testimony, and that is called Love Us into Fullness by another favorite collaborator of mine, Dan Damon. He is a prolific hymn writer and just has amazing, amazing resources. He also edits collections of hymns from other hymn writers. He's just a great soul and love him dearly. And he has given us permission. It's Hope Publishing. So you use your regular one license and CCLI. If you have those, then you can use this. And I've woven those verses through the scripture readings in that proclamation. I call it Song of Proclamation. Love us into fullness. Again, another example of a hymn writer just like right on the money, right on the point of the theme of the services of the series. So grateful for Dan. There he is in his cowboy hat. I found this on his Facebook page. Hi, Dan. And so I had to put it on here because he has a cowboy hat on, right? Looking for love. All right. So music notes document. Musicians, this is what you want to read really early on. And that has, we just say everything about all of the music pieces that we have put in there. And there's actually quite a lot to discern about what you will use, what you will adapt. So you'll want to look at preludes and postludes. We don't choose for you, but you'll decide on that. The threshold song, Show Us How to Love, Mark Miller, look at that music, play it, discern, is it doable for your choir or a soloist? Opening hymn and song, we give you suggestions about that. In the music document, we kind of list them all right there so you can just see them all at a glance rather than one service at a time. So you can take a look at those. Song of Proclamation, that's that Love Us into Fullness. The word and music, again, we give you anthem and band song suggestions, and you'll want to look at that early on and see what will work for your choir, what will not, or your band. Now, the prayers of the people, I have suggested we use a Kyrie eleison. And this is an ancient chant of the church. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. And Lent is a perfect time to do a Kyrie. There are some churches that are very familiar with singing a Kyrie and some churches who have never done it. And so I have written in there kind of the history, a little bit of history. And I would love for choir directors, music directors, pianists, whomever, a music person to actually do those introductions. Be a really nice way to be, to have some spiritual leadership in that. And so there are many Kyries. I have suggested one that Pablo Sosa, beautiful, no longer with us, beautiful friend, musician, teacher of congregational song. It's a beautiful one. And so you'll discern whether that's something that you want to use, or if you want to use a different Kyrie. Now, the communion, I always write a communion liturgy. And for this one, I have chosen a song that you could weave in. You don't have to use it. You can just use the liturgy without the music. But if you want to, this song, All Who Hunger, is beautiful and right on our theme. And then, of course, closing hymn and song. So lots of things for musicians to look at. And I urge you to just take a look at that document as soon as you can. Kind of discern things, insert alternatives if that's what you need to. So that is, that's the music pieces. So let's stop for just a moment, see if we have further questions on music for the series.
Yes, we just got a question from here asking if there is an instrumental recording of Show Us How to Love available to use.
There is, that's a good question. So go on the Choristers Guild site where you buy the anthem, and oftentimes they have a full instrumental accompaniment recording for that. So take a look at that.
Yes.
I can also ask Mark about creating a recording of that threshold moment with some underscoring, but know that the amount of words that the leader says over the underscoring is a little bit different each week. And so, that's why in the music there's repeats in there for the underscoring, because it's going to be a little bit different. And that's something, it's what I call layering, folks, in my terminology. And that's something you'll want to rehearse every week with the person who's speaking those words and the pianist, organist, whatever instrument you use. You'll want to try that because it'll be a little bit different every week.
Yes, kind of on that same subject, Ian says, if anyone records either or both of those songs, please share. I'll be looking for audio to create Threshold and or other videos. And that's a great time for us to share that we get so much community resourcing when we do these fully scripted series.
Yeah, that's right. We get to support each other, and it's not just our materials, but it's what comes out of our materials. And because of the pandemic, friends, really good benefit is that so many of you learned to edit video, learn to create little video pieces, and that's going to come up in this one with video testimony that I suggest as part of the liturgy. People who are going to give testimony about, I have found love in this church or in the world or in my life by blah, blah, blah. And we created little bumper videos for you that you can put on the beginning and the end of those video testimonies that has the theme song in it. And you just edit your videos. And if you don't know how, we have a link in the visual media document. We keep training people to do this video editing because you can do it. You can actually do it.
Absolutely. One more question that I'm seeing about music is, where do you usually sing the Kyrie that we suggest in the scripts?
So it's going to be during the prayers of the people. And the prayers of the people in this, when we get to the script, and I'll go through the entire script, you'll see that the prayers of the people in all of our series are different formats. And for this one, it's intercessory format. So meaning we have various prayers for the world, for the community, for relationships, for ourselves, and it's woven through that.
Awesome. That's all I see for now.
Okay, great. Well, let's move on to visuals and media and see what we can talk about around some fun ways to do the anchor image. So Jenna always compiles for us wonderful document that has visual and media arts ideas, and you want to get these to your crafters, to your media folks, get this document to them right away so they can dive into it, see what fun projects will come up for them. So you see the table of contents here. Jenna always writes about the anchor image, about, why did we use Scrabble tiles? Take home idea, children's time, a list of things that you will need if for the children's time scripts, if you follow those. There's a visual component to the Holy Week dinner, and that is just some cards that can be at each place. And again, I will tell you about that Holy Week service in a moment when we talk about the services, but just suffice it to say that when you talk about building relationships, strengthening relationships, the kind of love that Jesus showed, I think there's no better example in the Holy Week story than the Last Supper. And so I focused on that. You could do it Maundy, Thursday, or Good Friday, but it is a dinner. And so it's small groups. You could adapt it for gathering around tables in the fellowship hall at the church, but also want you to consider this may be a good way to start a small group ministry, start a dinner group kind of thing. So just some ideas there. Printable devotional journals. That's what we talked about in terms of ready to go journals that have weekly prompts for writing. Series trailer. We always make a trailer that you can insert your own information on. How to do the video testimonials, the series logo, about Canva. We always do this in Canva so that those of you with a Canva account, and you can get a non-profit free Canva account. And we have a link to that in this. Go in there and adapt it, put your own church logo in it, etc. And then where you can get stock photography resources, video clips. And there's a lot of Scrabble ones out there, friends. So ripe for the picking. All right. So do a photo shoot. This is my photo shoot of the all the pictures that I took that are in your downloads that you can use as worship guide covers, as backdrops for slides, whatever you want. But literally, this is my kitchen table, my little, yeah, I'm doing charades now, tripod, my computer, the Scrabble tiles, and me trying to figure out what kind of words I can put together for each week. You could do the same. And as I was doing, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so fun. You could actually make something like this, take pictures of, like, for your announcements, for special messages, for whatever, for names, for prayer requests. I mean, sky's the limit. I just think you could have a lot of fun with it. So just know this is how easy it is. And doing a photo shoot. And then one of the things that I did, there's on the left, the actual colors. And then I put a silver tone filter on it just on my phone. And it just gave it a little, a sense of a feel that I wanted for the Lent season. So, we have the technology these days. Engage your carpenters and do a photo shoot. So this is, I have in that document, in the visual arts document, exactly how Hanaro made these, what size board he got, how he cut it up, what he did, how he made a little back on it so it would stand up on its own. I actually in Canva have the letters that I did, the numbers, and it was really easy to do. Now, what you don't know is that this is half of the table at my partner's church, and the other half is set for Christmas Eve because I did this the week before Christmas Eve. So what I'm saying is that for a photo shoot, you don't have to wait until you set the entire space. Just create a little corner of the table, or take a little time to sort of just make something that you can get some pictures done. Work ahead of time. So then those who are working on media slides for the series can get to work and can do that as a batch. So do a photo shoot. You saw that the fun little picture where I said, oh, wait, I need a picture of me with this. And I pulled that O down and put my face up there. So, just have fun with it. Be creative with it. I know that you will. Check out ideas on our Pinterest page. Lots of Scrabble crafts on Pinterest, and not just with the tiny little real ones, but with larger ones. And, you can get various sizes of little boards for really cheap, and then put different words on them. You see these things on the walls in Pinterest. You could do that for your narthex, or for, in different places in your church. So, have fun with it. Get your crafters together. I made in Canva a little bookmark with a picture of the love letters. So you could have bookmarks made, laminate them for your small groups, your book study groups. You see that love God, and this is going to come in with children's time. That is going to be part of the children's time each week. And so you could make little ones, little pieces of wood, put tiles on there, or paint them like tiles and give those away. These are just a couple of ideas. You're going to come up with a lot more. Okay. So create templates for series slides. Again, don't wait. This is what I call getting ready for series in batches. So once you have your scripts adapted, and you're not going to wait until the week before to do that, you're going to start doing that when you have some windows of time now. You're going to adapt those scripts, and then your media folks can know what are the slides that we need, and you can do those in batches. And if you have backdrops, if you use our backdrops like you see here, you can go ahead and get slides done ahead of time. So you can make title slides. So this is the first or the second week, look to the helper, and with our help others Scrabble tiles. And so that could be, a title slide on your projection. Now, if I use that with words over it, it's a little too busy, right? So this is the way I fix that. This is your little quick media lesson for today. And that is that I take that picture, I make it more opaque, is the way it's called in my program, but you can darken it, saturation, you'll figure out how to do that, but you make it darker. And then you put those white words with a drop shadow on it. And then voila, you have a slide for the prayerful response in the opening. Right. So you can go ahead and get these things kind of happening because we gave you my whole photo shoot, and you can make your own photo shoot as well. All right. So, let me just talk a little bit about children's time, and then we will stop for visual and media questions. So I wrote the children's time for this one, and it has a very similar structure each week. You're going to use a Scrabble board, a real Scrabble board, and just know they come in many different colors and materials. They come in plastic these days. I had to get a vintage, what's it called? No, not vintage. It's called retro, a retro Scrabble board. I had to do that to get the actual wooden tiles. But I suggest a low table where the children can gather around it. And every week you'll already have tiles set up for that week. But then at the end of the children's time, you make together that love and God, and they'll get the hang of it, and that'll happen quickly. The little prayer poem, the beginning of each time, we come today, and we're here to say, we're looking for love in just the right way, For Jesus is clear when we listen to hear, his love for us is oh so dear. So get those scripts in the hands of people who are going to do those. Get your Scrabble board, get your low table, figure out how you're going to do that. And there are some ingredients that you'll need on different Sundays, like thirst quencher, the woman at the well, a bottle of water, the raising of Lazarus, some muslin to kind of wrap yourself up in, and then the kids are going to unwrap you and unfurl you, the lesson being that we can become free of what binds us. So anyway, some things to do. So take a look at those scripts and again, adapt them as needed. All right, Jenna, questions about visual and media?
We just had a question come through from Karen. She says, the thing Marcia was just describing quickly about making the background opaque, I think on our documents, is that written up somewhere? I could use a lesson.
Yeah, okay. Well, We'll find that, won't we, Jenna? Because I think I do that in one of the reboot sessions that I did for years. And yeah, I mean, there are some things, some hacks that you can do for slides to make them make the words pop, some best practices. In the website, we have different worship arts, and under the media arts, it's also in my book, Think Like a Filmmaker, which means that it would be in the free materials on the website for the Think Like a Filmmaker book. Let's do this, Jenna. Let's insert in the recording on the website, in this recording, we'll put a link to that so that folks can get there. All right.
Awesome.
What else?
Got a question is from Jerry. Is the visual Scrabble photos, are those in JPG format for use? Jerry, I think they're PNGs. That we've uploaded, but we can share them in JPGs if you need that for whatever reason. You can also use a converter tool to turn them from PNGs into JPEGs.
And I think probably anytime you have a photo open on your computer, you can go to File and Export, and you can export it to a different format. So it might be as easy as figuring out on your computer how to do that, and then you'll be able to export it to whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm. And let's see here. We've got another question about how this series works with WDS subscriptions. We can save that for a little bit later.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. So let's move on to the next section because we're almost done. All right, here we go. So we have suggestions in our small group suggestions. We have suggestions for different age groups. So books for children. Now, your educational folks may want to look at this and see what you might want to draw in to, if you have a Sunday school time, children's education time, or even just parents who want to read books that kind of go along with the theme. So we have some suggestions there, some great books for children. We also have books for teens, especially around self-love, healthy boundaries. This is a huge topic, as you know, for teenagers. And so this is a great way to talk about healthy love, talk about self-love. And so youth group leaders, take a look at some of these and then do your own research, also to find other things. What we're trying to do is we're trying to jumpstart your own research, short circuit the time you have to spend researching, right? But it may not be that the ones we suggest are the ones you'll use, but at least it gets you down the rabbit hole, right? So books for adults. What we did this time, rather than saying there's one book, we decided to give you a lot of different options because the things that distract us are going to be different for different people. The things that distract us from what is really fulfilling in our lives is going to be different for different people. So the one that is the most overarching, that touches a lot of subjects, is called Things That Matter. Joshua Becker writes about pursuing a meaningful life and talks about distractions, many different distractions. And so if you want a general one, this may be the best one that gets at lots of things. I just got an email from his publicist, and he and I are going to do an interview that I will upload when that is done. And so that's going to be exciting. He is a pastor, used to be a pastor. Well, he's a pastor, still a pastor, but he left pastoral ministry to do because his book, The More of Less on minimalism, really took off. And so he's now a speaker and an author. And so, minimalism could also be something, if it's this distraction by things and consumerism that really is at the heart of what's distracting you, then you could suggest to people something about minimalism. Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart is a really good book with her research about the emotions. And so how do our emotions help us or distract us or hurt us? That could be one. And there's lots of companion materials to that. You Are What You Love, The Spiritual Power of Habit. So looking at our habits is another way to do that. Again, you could have different small groups, depends on the size of your church. You could have just partners get together and read it read it together and discuss it, whatever way works for your folks. Boundaries, a book on boundaries, a book on the sacred art of surrendering. That's really around 12-step kinds of things and connection to our faith. So that may be something that you want to offer or suggest. Money Matters, Faith, Life, and Wealth, Creating a Life That Matters, How to Live and Love with Meaning and Purpose, Wholehearted Faith, Rachel Held Evans, who is sadly not with us anymore, but these are a last manuscript, and wholeheartedness is a wonderful thing. So you might take this opportunity to have a book study with her book. The Sin of Certainty, Why God Desires Our Trust More Than Our Correct Beliefs. So if the distraction is, am I doing it right? I need certainty. That might be an interesting one to do. The love languages, right? So if you want to go with that love theme, this is a classic. Embracing the Uncertainty. These are devotional books, 40 devotions for unsteady times. And if you just didn't get enough of Kate Bowler, if you did our series last time, which was not on that slide I did earlier. Isn't that interesting? Good enough. I missed that one. And so if you can't get enough of Kate Bowler, her new Lent devotion, which will drop in February, The Lives We Actually Have. So that will also dovetail nicely with this series, even though the series is not based on her book like last year was. So lots of different possibilities. Again, think early and often about how you might introduce the theme and give it life beyond Sunday morning through some of these suggestions. And then, as I said earlier, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places, a guided journal, is something that we have created. It's a downloadable PDF that you can just print out for your folks, or you can go into Canva, get it there. We have the link to that. And we have a weekly journaling exercise that has part of the scriptures in it. It has a question prompt. It has lines to write in. And then every week has a couple of boxes, things I thought about or did a lot this week. So again, looking at what are we giving our attention to? And then the other box, what I'd rather focus my attention towards and spend time doing, right? So it's a little evaluation. Lent is a good time to evaluate our priorities and what we spend our time on. And so that's what this journal really is about. So that's an extra, what we call from New Orleans, a lagniappe, a little something extra that you can give to your folks and beyond your congregation as well. All right. So any questions, Jenna, about the small group resources at all?
Yes, we did get a question about some of the book recommendations. Are those available to order through Amazon or other publishers? Kind of how do we suggest people get the books?
Yeah. So because there's so many this time, we haven't brokered a deal with any one publisher for bulk orders. You'll have to do that for yourself. But yes, we have links to all of them. I think most of that goes to Amazon, but you can look around to the publisher. You can look around what the best deal is. And I always suggest writing a publisher and saying, my church would love to do a book study. We'd like 20 books. What kind of a deal can you get us? Just put it out there, right? Don't be shy about doing that. That's what I do when I broker deals for those series that are based on a book for you. But you can also do that for yourself. Anything else?
That is all I see for the moment.
Okay, great. Well, let's finish up by looking at a script. And again, friends, if all you sort of put on your calendar for this was an hour, I'm going to go a little over an hour, but again, we're recording it so we can get to that and send it to you. I'll do that later today. So scripts come in PDF and Word versions, as I said before. And we do that so that you can have a copy that doesn't change for your records, and then the Word versions. We call the PDFs the pretty ones because, if we were writing a book, it would be much more graphic heavy. So that's really for you to just look at on your computers. If you're going to print something out, just print the Word versions because that's where we have less graphics on that. All right, so I'm going to share the actual Word document. Here we go. And we're going to quickly go through this. Let me make it a little bigger. All right, here we are in Word. Okay, so prelude, welcome. What we're suggesting with this series is that you delay announcements until the end on this one, because what we want to do is to say, here's some ways to practice and engage activities that will bring more love to our lives. And so we're suggesting that, but of course you'll adapt it. If you decide to do announcements, you'll put it here. Now, when you are adapting these and going through these, everything is in red is my sort of stage direction. They're called liturgical rubrics is the term. And so, these are my notes to you. You don't need to look at this every week, follow your usual format for welcome, etc. Invite the people to a deep breath. I might just do this. Invite the people to a deep breath as we turn our attention to the entrance of the light of Christ, the true love among us. And I might even decide that this is what I'm going to say at the end of my welcome. And so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take it out of red, and I'm going to make it black, because that's actually what I'm going to say. And then I can just copy and paste this to each one of the Word documents for every week, right? So that's what I mean by adapting things. You're just going to make decisions. And I want you to think about doing this in batches. Like I just said, you go through week 1, you make your sort of global changes, things that were going to be the same each week, and then you copy and paste to the rest of the weeks. You open those up and do those. All right. So threshold moment, arrangement of Show Us How to Love is in your downloads. A solo, so you can get rid of that. A soloist begins to sing as the light is processed and the chancel candles are lit. If you don't have a processional, you might say a soloist begins to sing. Boom. All right. So it's going to depend on what happens. There's the words to the song. Musical underscoring continues. Now you might want to leave that, because that's a cue to your pianist. Keep playing, and then you're going to rehearse this with each other. Now, I write out these leader parts, and in this series, it's really the synopsis that I'm feeding into this that sets the stage. A threshold moment for those of you who haven't done Worship Design Studio series before is that we're the whole of the worship is the theme, is the message. And so if we don't reference the theme at all until we get to the sermon, then people haven't had a good frame to experience everything in. So we're going to introduce it by a little paragraph. Now, friends, I totally want you to read this. I wrote this the way I would read it, but you can put it in your own words, right? So part of your job may be to just simply look at this, figure out how you would say it, and put that in there. And what that does, pastors, is when you spend that time with it, it helps you really get into what is that message. And perhaps you can just do it extemporaneously, right? And if you just want, if your life is hectic and you just want to read what's on the page there, awesome, do it. I'm happy to be of service. But practice it so that it sounds like you. Okay, then the choir comes in, or an ensemble, or just a soloist. So if you just have a soloist singing, then you would change this, soloist sings again. And that's the bookends of the theme song to that. We go into a confession and assurance. And I have it, this is different for every week. There are some things that are the same, like the people's response is the same each time. We yearn for lives that matter. We desire relationships that thrive. We want less regret. But then the words around it are different for everyone. We have a time of silence, and then it comes out, and I use the psalm for every week to as the words of assurance, right? And then the response to the prayer, and then the peace. Okay, the peace, friends. What I imagine here is the sign love and peace. Now, this isn't actual sign language, but it's super easy. Love and peace So I invite you to pass this love and peace to one another, crossing your arms across your chest, indicating love, and then opening up to the common 2-finger sign for peace, remembering to send some of that love and peace to those worshiping remotely, right? And so what we've tried to do since our work with Jason Moore and the both and in our planning retreat last year is to actually put in some of these suggestions for you, those of you who have online worship, so that you can remember to be hospitable in these moments. So I know that some people are grateful for those prompts to remember to do these kinds of things. All right, opening hymn and song brings us back. Again, we have links to the hymnary, information about that. We have what hymnals are here. So let's say I'm a Presbyterian and Glory to God is my hymnal. And so I could just, in adaptations, I'll just get rid of these other things, right? And then we're not going to sing that. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, so this is how you would just go through and do this. Maybe your musician is going through the music document, has made notes, and so all in one fell swoop, whoever is doing the master adaptation on the document can just go through, look at the notes the musicians did, and then adapt here. All right, children's time. I put the children's time scripts in a separate document so that this script is not so long. Also, you can just hand that to whoever's doing children's time. The song of preparation for the word is this Love Us Into Fullness song, and you'll see how that is woven. I don't mean for you to have underscoring. Sometimes I do, but because these are in between longer readings, you'll just sing the verse, draw it to a close musically, have the reading sung. Now you'll notice that let's see, this is there we go. As the children leave, sing verse 1 of the Song of Proclamation as the scripture reader comes forward. That's me trying to model good flow in worship, right? So whenever I can put rubrics in there that help you remember these little hacks to have better flow, like as we're singing, have the kids go away and the reader come up. So as soon as we stop singing, we're ready for the reading. So partly, I hope these scripts are not just inspirational, but educational. Okay, so the first reading, here's that video testimony. We created the beginning and ending for the testimonial video, and you could invite someone different every week to make a short, brief little video. And I had Hanaro do one at our, when he and I were working with the Scrabble tiles on the altar, because really his ministry, he's the groundskeeper and the facilities director at my partner's church, but that's how he shows love and it's how he is love in that community. So I did a little example of what that could look like, really short. You want these to be really short. Edited that together. That's available for you to watch. And so you can have a video testimony each time. Now, what you would do is just go, as you go through this, you go, oh, okay. So Hanaro is the one we want for this one. You just put your own names in there, right? Okay, so after the video is over, you sing Love Us Into Fullness, verse 2, second reading, bookend it with verse 3, into the anthem. Again, we have suggestions. You make your own decisions. Sermon, know that there's sermon fodder notes in the downloads, and we have sermon discussions once the series starts every week, where you can talk to each other about what you're preparing and get ideas. Prayers of the people, here's that Kyrie, right? So if I am, again, this Presbyterian church, I'm going to get rid of these other things. We're going to do that because it's in our hymnal. Awesome. And it's easy to learn. And here's where we introduce what a Kyrie eleison is. You sing it, you repeat it, you teach it. And then we have intercessions. Prayers for the world with a Kyrie. Prayers for our community with a Kyrie. Prayers for our relationships, Kyrie. Prayers for ourselves, Kyrie. Excuse me. So these prayers every week I have written out are different and based on those categories, but nuanced for the theme that week. So you really do have a lot of content for prayers of the people in this series. All right. So, let me just say that in here, continue with global concerns of the moment. So we pray this day for. So what you might want to do is each week, leader, whoever is the leader who's leading these prayers, you're going to say, you're going to add current event, right? Whatever you want to say about that, and then move on with. So this is where scripted meets real time. Okay, all of the scripted words are going to be applicable no matter what, but you are also going to make it timely by adding various things that have happened. So I love intercessory prayers. I think it's a beautiful way to pray. Okay, offering, we use your common current practices because that's all over the map these days, friends, because some people are passing the plate again. Some people will never go back. They'll always have a QR code to go do that online, depending on your congregation. So do your own things. This is where you would put communion on a communion Sunday, or if you do communion every Sunday. On a communion Sunday, if you're a congregation who only does it like on the first of the month, then I would consider editing the prayers of the people a bit for time if you're concerned about time. All right. Nurturing love, that's what I'm calling announcements, right? So here it is towards the end, using language that invites people to see how engaging in activities this week is a way of nurturing practices of love. And then we have our closing hymn or song. You adapt, you either use it, you use whatever you've decided. Again, we always have a traditional and a contemporary, and then the benediction, which is a combination of something I've written that goes with the theme that week, and finish it with your own benediction, your own personal way that you close it out. Okay, woohoo, that's it, friends. And of course, the Ash Wednesday is a little bit different because I have a ritual of ashes in there. And Holy Week is that I'm just really excited about you doing the Holy Week thing around tables. It can be led by anyone. All right. So look that over. Imagine how you could do that. And then the Easter Sunday is a bit different because it's Easter, right? All right, Jenna, what do we have as final questions before we say goodbye?
We've got a couple of music questions that came in the last 10 minutes or so. Can we get guitar chords for Show Us How to Love?
Okay, that's another Mark Miller question. I'm writing down. Mark Miller is a keyboard player, so he's less used to having the guitar chords, but I will have him or a guitarist do that for us. Great. Thank you.
A note someone sent in for your Advent series, because I don't have music folks, I changed the song to a spoken liturgy and it worked okay to keep a theme going. So that
Great.
suggestion might help someone else who doesn't have
Yeah.
music. All right. And the last question that I see is the Lent series included in a subscription? If so, how much is the Worship Design Studio annual subscription?
Yeah, great. Let's talk about that. So yes, everything that I've ever done is included in a subscription. When you're a full year subscriber, you have access to everything. If you're a full year subscriber and you go into the website and something is asking you to buy, that means that you're either not logged in at all, or you're logged in under a different email than the one that you bought the subscription with, or you're a team member that hasn't been added to your church's account. So if your church is a full year subscriber, you should never have to pay for anything in there, except for we have some educational things that are extra. But in terms of series, they're all there and you have access to all of them. A subscription is $299 for the year. And so when you do the math, that's less than one specialty latte, especially now with prices hiked, one specialty latte per week. Just want to give you a little perspective on that for 52 weeks of having access to literally everything that we've ever done. So every season comes up and you have something to spark your imagination or to simply give you a fully scripted experience. So yeah, that's what it is. You can go to worshipdesignstudio.com and do that. And if you've already bought a la carte and you'd like to think about upgrading to a full year subscription, then you will be getting information about how to put what you've paid towards a full year subscription. Because we really want to encourage you to be thinking on a regular basis, not just Advent and Lent, but on a regular basis about sensory rich worship that has a theme that takes you on a spiritual journey. There's so many good reasons to do thematic things. It's fine to do one-offs every once in a while, right? That's absolutely fine. Special services, sometimes where you just do something really simple. But I do want to encourage you to consider the benefits of doing worship series.
And a few more questions that just came through from folks. Sarah says, what is the copyright information on the theme song? Her computer froze when we went over that. So if you can share one more time.
Okay, one more time. The theme song is Mark Miller and Lindy Thompson have given permission, as well as Choristers Guild. And we have the line that Choristers Guild asked you to put in your worship guide, used and streamed by permission of Choristers Guild. But you have permission for that. We acquired that specific permission for you, told them most people are streaming. So what we need is permission for people to use this, stream it, that kind of thing. So for the theme song, that is the permission. And in the music document, we say that specifically. For Love Us Into Fullness by Dan Damon, if you use that as the weaving song among the scripture, that is Hope Publishing. And so as long as you have either a one license or a CCLI license, then that is what gives you the right to use that.
Awesome. Ian says, has any thought gone into adapting the Holy Week service for a hybrid worship experience?
That's very interesting, Ian. And I think we can have a great conversation about that in the website. So we'll start a thread about Holy Week, the Holy Week service, and about adaptations, and we'll have some brainstorming in there. Great idea.
Absolutely. And a question here about Elevation. Where can we sign up for Elevation 2023?
You can sign up at worshipdesignstudio.com/elevation2023. And that's where you sign up. We're half full already because there were people who we sent out a thing that said, let us know early, get on the early list. And so even though we're opening registration today, we had some pre-registrations. And so don't wait, get in on it because those rooms will go fast. And it's just such a delight to be with people in the mountains every year. This is not one that we do live streaming with. This is in person only. It's really a special time.
Awesome. I see one more question that came through about the theme song. Can we use a recording of you all singing it? I think that's probably on Facebook Live or in recordings. How will that work for the theme song?
A theme song of who singing it?
I am not sure.
Okay.
That's what I see in the question.
Okay. So if you're talking about your own choir or soloist, yes. I mean, that theme song, we have gotten permission for you to use it in whatever form, no matter who sings it. So if you're talking about, if you're requesting that a video be made of somebody singing it that other people can use, go to the website and let's have that conversation there in the website. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think that is all the questions that are coming through for now. So
okay.
If there's anything that people think of afterwards, you can reach out to us, Marcia@marciamcphee.com. And that's a great place to connect.
That's right. Okay. I'm going to finish out by saying, here's your to-do steps. Read the overview and the scriptures and synopses documents first. Have your entire team read those. That will be the grounding for the entire series to get everybody literally on the same page. Then send materials to your team. And I realize that some of you go, yeah, I'm a team of one. But you can also have, part of your team can be the carpenter who's going to do that. Send them the page about making that. Can be some of your crafts. It can be people who are just doing one thing. So you can also add your team to give them access to the series on our website through a form. If you don't know how to do that, email us. We'll send you that link. Schedule a time to go through all of it together, sort of just brainstorming about, what you think will work. Then make decisions, adapt, make your task list. If you can get these things, just this working with the script, making your decisions, then, oh my gosh, you are hitting the ground running. And if you can do that soon, then you have a lot of time for people to help you. And that's really crucial. If you want, liturgy is the work of the people, and preparing is also the work of the people as well. And so we in the Worship Design Studio believe in empowering you, giving you the materials so that you can get help, good help on these things. All right, preachers, take some time to look at the sermon fodder so you can train your brain to be on the lookout for you over the next few weeks. The brain is an amazing thing. If you sort of look at something, let it go to the sort of regions that are not the prefrontal cortex, that just kind of live there, you're going to start to notice things everywhere that you can use. Keep a notebook, write them down, right? So that's the reason to look at the fodder ahead of time, not so you can write sermons ahead of time. I don't believe in that. I think week by week is that sermon. And when you've worked ahead for all the other stuff, you have more time to work on your sermon. And then when the season starts, be active on the Sermon Discussions Love, the hashtag Sermon Discussions Love threads on the WDS website. So you see just below those words in that menu across there, it says highlighted hashtags. When you click on that, you'll see Sermon Discussions Love. And every week, Ben does a little prompt so that we'll start a conversation for sermon prep for that week. All right, share your preparations with other churches. And so in the Worship Design Studio, in that menu across the top, member photos and ideas, start a conversation about something that you're doing. And you can do that by sharing with what's on your mind right there. You can click on that expand to article, which means you can add multiple pictures in there. So for instance, create one when you start to do, you have a Scrabble craft ideas and you start to put in there. And it's just such a great asset to be part of a community who's working on this together. All right, friends. There's where you add your pictures by clicking on that little picture. You'll figure it out. And if you can't, you always can email or message us in the website and we can take you through it. Thank you so much. Again, if you haven't decided yet to do this and you're not a full subscriber, you can get it a la carte with /love, and you can see all the other Lent series if you're not convinced this one is the right one at worshipdesignstudio.com/Lent. Friends, it is my deep, deep honor and pleasure to be in ministry with you. It just really is my call. It's my ministry, and my whole team is so excited to walk alongside you. So thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jennifer, my whole team. And thank you, friends, for what you do in the world. May your Lent journey be deeply meaningful, and may you find love in all the right places. Bye-bye. Take care.